Welcome to Window to Haiti, Journey to the Heart of the People. I'm your host, David Frederick, and in today's episode, we journey into the intersection of education, digital innovation, and leadership through the lens of Haitians' wisdom and global influence.
For a long time, we believe a great teacher is all folks needed. But what we're learning now, too, is that there's a systems design behind that. A school district can actually make a school fail. Effective school leadership is also critically important.
I'm honored to have Mr. Jean-Claude Brizard with us, a visionary leader whose roots begin in Grande Rivière du Nord, Haiti, and extend across the globe through an illustrious career dedicated to transforming education. Jean-Claude currently serves as the president and CEO of Digital Promise Global, a pioneer organization committed to shaping the future of learning and fostering equitable education systems worldwide. His journey from busy street of Grande Rivière du Nord to impacting global education policy and practice reflects a profound story of hard work, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of the Haitian community. Recognized in the 2023 class of Great Immigrants, Great Americans by the Carnegie Corporation of New York, Jean-Claude's contributions stand as a testament to the power of education and the significant role of Haitians in the global diaspora. From leading Chicago Public School to influencing education strategies with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and touching lives as an educator and administrator within the New York Department of Education, Jean-Claude's story is a beacon of inspiration. His experiences offer a unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities in creating equitable learning environment for all. Today, we dive into Jean-Claude's personal story, exploring his Haitian roots, his groundbreaking work in education, and the Haitian proverbs that have illuminated his path. Join us as we unfold the stories behind the man who continues to shape the future of education, guided by the wisdom of his Haitian heritage and the conviction that every child deserves a chance to succeed. Mr. Jean-Claude, welcome to Window to Haiti.
Good morning, good afternoon, David. It really is a pleasure to be here, and I am honored to be part of this conversation.
All right. First, before we start, tell us a little bit more about you, your background, and everything else.
Yeah, so I've been in education for over 3 decades. Much of my work has been in the U.S., but at times it takes me beyond the shores of the United States of America. I was born in Haiti. I was born in Grande Rivière du Nord, and came to the U.S. in 1976. It was a long time ago. I was about 12 years old, and lived and grew up in New York City, and became a teacher. I taught physics and chemistry in New York City public schools. Became an assistant principal, became an executive within the New York City Department of Education, and then became a school superintendent in Rochester, New York, and then led the school system in Chicago. And of course, did some work with the College Board, etc. But now at the Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But now I work as the CEO of Digital Promise, an amazing organization doing work in learning sciences and technology.
Wow. It is a very, very great career, a very rich career. So we'll have a lot to talk about. But first, let's start where everything begins. You said Grande Rivière du Nord. Tell us a bit about Grande Rivière du Nord. What do you remember, or somewhat reflecting on your childhood there?
Yeah, it was, living in Grande Rivière was an amazing experience. It is the kind of upbringing I had that I wish that every child around the world would have experienced. Although my parents left Haiti in 1970, fearing that Papa Doc was going to come after them, my grandfather spent 6 years in prison in the 1960s because of Papa Doc Duvalier. But at the same time, I lived with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, my mom's younger sister, and a lot of us cousins and siblings were in the same house because, again, our uncles and my mom left the country. But what it did for us, David, was something that was unique because we all grew up together and we played soccer together. We ran around the countryside together. We were swimming in Grand Rivière together, right? So we grew up very close, even though I have two brothers and a sister, but I literally had about 12 of us who basically ran around. We had our own soccer team, right? So it was a kind of living that was absolutely amazing. We didn't have a front lock on our front door, because we live that kind of free life. I went to École des Frères in Grand Rivière, and with his brothers who went to school. Every Sunday, we were lined up in our white shirt and blue ties, and then we marched to the church, and then we sat in the front of the church. We were the altar servers. We did everything. So we grew up very Catholic, as you can imagine, being in that part of Haiti. But it was the kind of community where even if a person was not family, they were surrounded by people who cared for us. It is the kind of upbringing that so many of us talk about in the olden days in the United States of America, where every neighbor looked out for you. In that case, we had that in Haiti. So it was a rich life. And when my parents finally were able to return to pick us up, took us to Brooklyn, it wasn't exactly a happy thing. I'm grateful for it now because the opportunities I had in the U.S. are unsurpassed. But it wasn't a happy thing because we're leaving behind so much and so many folks we actually knew.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. You try to bring you back those memories, talking about soccer, talking about being in Catholic school, like the catechesis. Like every time you're gonna go and work, you have to be part of that. That was the deal. Now, and you talk about that village mentality as well. Now talk to me about an experience, or if there was an experience, individual that sparked your passion for education.
Yeah, so I mean, I would give a lot of credit to two people, David. One, to my mother. So both my parents were teachers, were educators. My father was a school director in Haiti, and my mom was a secondary school teacher in Haiti. So that education DNA was always a part of my life growing up. But at the same time, you don't want to do what your parents do for a living. You want to do something very different. But I would say that when I moved to the U.S. and was put in a bilingual class with Mr. Shirazar, I would argue he was in many ways perhaps a secondary a reason why I love teaching and I love education. This man, again now deceased, took care of a lot of us. That school at the time didn't really have a bilingual program, and they had to comply with a new law in New York City. So about 25 of us from Haiti who didn't speak English were put in the same class. And this man taught us the way I remember being taught when I was in Haiti. He was strict, he cared for us, loved us. In fact, he would tell us, you want to go to the bathroom? Go to the bathroom before you come to school. Once you're in my class, there's no such thing as a bathroom pass. When the bullies came after us, I mean, he would go up and start screaming at the assistant principal upstairs. He became our sort of our surrogate father, frankly, in that school. But so in many ways, I go back and I thank him for turning me on to the power of a teacher, to the power of education.
Wow. And it's credit to him and credit to your parents for that. Now, what advice would you give to young Haitians, especially those in Grand Rivière du Nord, aspiring to make a difference in their community or abroad?
It's a great question. It's one of making sure you lean on your network, creating a network of people you can lean on. It is something I've always cherished and I've always loved. And no matter what stage I am in my life, there are people I turn to for advice. There are people I turn to workshop ideas with. Even your own parents, because my mom was a teacher, and I knew and I cherished both her and my father's orientation. When I applied for jobs in New York as a high school teacher, I had like 5 or 6 offers. I had, again, a license no one had at the time, teaching physics. My mom always asked me, "Tell me about the boss you're going to have." And that would help dictate where I would go, because she was trying to teach me, look for people who are going to take care of you, mentor you, and make you better at what you do. So that kind of orientation I've always had. Even when I became a school superintendent, there were superintendents around the country I would go to if I was having questions or issues, to help guide me and help me understand. Those were critically important. The second thing, of course, which is always important as a Haitian, we understand the power of having an education. So that is sort of foundational. Making sure you work hard, finish your degrees, and go as far as you can. That is a foundation in everything you do. But that alone is not going to get you to where you want to get to. The network of people you develop over time is another piece. Last thing I will say to your question, it was something my grandfather taught me. It was something my parents taught me as well, which is this idea of leaning on social justice, making sure that you have this set of core values and a North Star that you don't negotiate. Because you negotiate your core values, you lose your way. So when I think about everything I've done in my life, it's always been about finding ways of helping people who are disenfranchised. At Digital Promise, we call them folks who are historically and systematically excluded from full participation in our economy. How do you help these people? Keeping that centered in your heart and soul, I found to really have been beneficial in everything I've done in my life.
Wow, you you feel me, man. I appreciate it. There's a lot of great and great advice that you gave. Now I'm gonna circle back to them as we go throughout the conversation, especially the talk or advice from your grandfather. So we're gonna put that aside and come back to it later. And even before we talk about New York, I wanna hear and somewhat hear your story about what was it like moving to the US, because you said you moved early on.
It was a difficult, interesting experience. I remembered when my parents came, and they came to us in 1976 in Haiti. I hadn't seen them since like 1970. I mean, I was a tiny kid. My siblings, my brother and my sister at the time, didn't even know who they were. So it was an experience getting to know them as people. Again, just a quick story is that they came in 1970. They had temporary visas. My father did not get a visa to the US. My mom did. My mom was in Brooklyn. My father ended up in North Africa, in Algeria, and in Senegal, and in France, and in the US. 3 of us were left in Haiti with my maternal grandmother. So in 1973, my youngest brother was born in Brooklyn. And in those days, if you have an American child, you get a green card. And they petitioned for us, and it took 3 more years to actually be able to come and get us. So when you think about that kind of experience, and I mean, again, I still to this day cannot imagine how my mom and my dad were able to travel and leave 3 young children behind. It is something I'm sure haunted them for a very long time. They both died too early in life, and I think part of the stress of that experience is what I think killed them. But which is why, again, my goal in life is to give back to them. So when you think about that, and then leaving everything you know behind in Haiti to go to a place you've never really understood, just the travel from Gonaiviet to Port-au-Prince was an experience. I had never been to Port-au-Prince before in my life. I actually got there. I had never seen a television that was on before in my life, and I saw that in Port-au-Prince. Getting on American Airlines, getting into this giant tube was also an experience. Right now, by the way, I'm a commercial pilot, so I fly, so I love doing that. But I didn't understand aviation. Landing at JFK in May 1976, I was wearing a white shirt. You can imagine, I still remember what I was wearing. Getting to the escalator was one experience. I'd never seen an escalator before. And when I got downstairs, I walked by the door and the two doors opened, the automatic doors opened. And I saw all these lights and sound and horns. It was terrifying for me. And I can give you a couple more. Getting in my uncle's car, driving back to the apartment. I'd never seen a multi-lane highway before in my life. We were living in Crown Heights, Brooklyn at the time. I saw the building. I thought that was my father's house. So, wow, he's got a big house. The concept of an apartment was not something I grew up in a house with a big backyard in Haiti, right? And we come to an apartment, a one-bedroom apartment that 5 of us were living in. Was another massive experience for me. If I may give you one last piece, that was quite terrifying. At the time in New York City, the son of Sam, if you know the history, was going around killing people. So you're watching the news, you're hearing this, you hear your parents talk about this. So where did I move to? So it was an interesting transition of life, going from a small town, powerful town in Haiti to the mega city of New York City.
Well, and now those experiences, to kind of dissect them a little bit, what was that first impression just stepping into America after the plane landed?
You're a kid, right? So it was overwhelming sensation of the senses, right? Flooding your senses with activity, noise, light, bit of what I consider to be cold air hitting you in the face. It was overwhelming, right? And you try to process. My sister, my boy was much younger, but at that age, 11, 12 years old, you can begin to process a little bit. And you know that your world was ripped apart from you. So it was I would say, an overwhelming experience of your senses being flooded, frankly.
Because did you speak English when you
No.
Wow. Okay. So how was that learning English now?
It took a while, I would say, to learn English. But when I walked into school for the first time, again, walking into a school that didn't have a program for non-English speakers was very difficult. They put me initially in all these classrooms. I didn't understand a word of what was going on. And in Haiti, by the way, my school director thought I was in line to scoring number one in the country on a national assessment. So I'm not a stupid kid. I mean, I came in, quite bright. But to walk into a class and know nothing. The only class I understood initially was mathematics. Yeah. And even the way I do division, right? I mean, is different than the way Americans do division, right? You had the line and the half of a cross. That was an experience for me as well too. But again, I came in May. By the following September, they had to put a class together to support kids like me because there was a new law in New York pushing for the teaching of multilingual learners. We used to call bilingual education. But initially, it was a terrifying experience in school. And I'll tell you one thing that really was disturbing for me, and this was my first experience with African Americans who used to yell at us, calling us Frenchies, go back home in your banana boat. These were kids too, but I'd never experienced that kind of issue from folks who looked like me. I mean, again, as a kid in Haiti, we all thought that Americans were white people. And to see Black Americans was a whole new thing for me as well. But then to hear them yell at you, calling your names, spitting in the window, we were all put in the basement in those days. Again, there were issues with education in New York. So kids were special ed, kids were multilingual learners were put in the basement. And these kids would come to the window, spit at us in the basement. So it was not an easy experience, frankly. I would argue my first 6 months, first year in the U.S.
And during those moments, though, how do you find ways to just persevere and not just go toward the wrong path?
Two things for me in those days. One is retreating to the cocoon of your family and your apartment, your home. So mom and dad, your brothers. So we would invent plays together, like Jeu de Glissade, right? Things like we actually make our own games. Those became part of what we did as the three of us. My youngest brother was a baby in those days. We ate way too much of Wonder Bread, peanut butter, and juice. All of my siblings and I initially got overweight initially in that. But that fall, that September, with Mr. Shirazar, there was another sort of maybe safe place to go to. When we would go to school, we knew we'd be in his class all day. We only left his class for phys ed. We left his class for language, but everything else, history, science, math, this man taught us everything and kept us protected. So initially, very, very, very hard. Again, we treated the cocoon of my family's apartment, but ultimately, this teacher, Mr. Shirazar, really protected us.
Now, we're gonna fast forward just to step back a little bit, but earlier you said because your parents were in educations, you really didn't see yourself going that same path. But how did you end up changing and pursuing that education path? That's the first question. But the second part of that question is, now, after over a 21-year career with the New York City Department of Education, what key lessons about effective education system have you learned? So those two type of questions.
Yeah, the second one is a big question. By the way, it's 21 and a half years just in New York City, but I'm approaching 35 years now in public education in the U.S.
Yes, we're getting, we still have the foundations and we still,
But the first one, I'll give you the quick version of the story. I have a degree in chemistry. I cannot get a job in chemistry, and quickly learning that to be a chemist, you need a PhD. A bachelor's in chemistry does not make you a chemist. That was a major lesson learned for me. Mom telling me, New York City is desperate for teachers. Try this for a while, and then you can go back to school and finish your degree. And make a long story short, I ended up teaching at Rikers Island in Queens, New York. It's a prison for these places I was more juveniles. And again, lots of experiences there, but I met one young man who had dropped out of school in the 5th grade, couldn't do basic math, basic addition, subtraction, etc. Working with him in less than 3 months, this young man was doing pre-algebra. Brilliant kid that we had lost. We lost a mathematician. I mean, brilliant kid. Didn't know what he did, didn't care, but really gravitated toward this kid. When I got my book, he's going to be my first chapter, by the way. There's a whole chapter they call The Sandwich, and there's a story behind that too. That we have time for today. But when you see that and you realize this young man had not had any kind of support, which is why he dropped out of school, my reaction was, going back to this idea of social justice, I'm going to go on the front end for a few years, make a difference, and then leave and go back to becoming the doctor I wanted to be, right? I got to a school in Bushwick, Brooklyn, a middle school, and again, kept falling in love with these kids in the class and the work of teaching science. Then went to a high school to teach high school for a few more years. And it just kept mushrooming because you kept seeing yourself making a difference. You kept being pulled into positions. I tell people in New York City, I only applied for one job, that of teacher. every other job was offered to me. And because again, I was working hard, and this is not about hubris or being pompous, but those came to me. And you begin to realize this is a life calling, and not just a stopping point in your career. So that was the beginning. That young man, in many ways, really changed the way in which I think about school. To your point about effective education, effective work, we keep learning a lot about what makes for effective education. So for a long time, we believe a great teacher is all folks needed. Great curriculum, great teacher. That is still important. But what we're learning now, too, is that there's a systems design behind that, meaning that a school district can actually make a school fail. The system, so it's an effective system, effective school leadership is also critically important. And in my current work, in the work of my last 10 years, I'm also understanding a lot about how kids learn, the learning sciences, how the brain work is also a critical component of how we design system, how we design curriculum, how we design the training and development of teachers. So it's a confluence of things that we know are critical, frankly, in making for effective education.
Now, you're talking about how those things are critical for us to learn, and especially, kids in disadvantaged community. How did you connect your work at the New York Department of Education and connect that to, how did you make that transfer to the Melinda Gates Foundation?
Yes. So a lot of my experiences in those first 25, 27 years really, in many ways, came to a bit of a crescendo at the Gates Foundation. There I was in charge of what we refer to as P16 education.
Yeah.
So we looked to PK16, yes. Okay. So when you think about and you see the data in education systems, there is a level of attrition of kids across the different sectors in the system. For example, if you were to look at all kids who are in third grade and you follow them, through high school and then college, and in most states, only for all kids, about 25% get a post-secondary degree. If you look at kids who are disenfranchised, like Black, brown, poor kids, indigenous poor kids, it's 8%, 10%, 12%. We lose a lot of kids in the process. So my work there was not just look at what is done within the schools around curriculum and teacher development, but how is the system supporting the development and the journey of a child across time? And we focus quite a bit on that. And without that kind of grounding experience in New York City, in other places, I would never really have had the visibility or the view to understand how the system must connect to take you to having someone having access to economic mobility.
Now, talking about the system, how did this experience at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, how did that experience refine your vision for equitable education system, especially concerning, the work you're doing, but also while you're answering that, I would like to put that also in the Haitian context, if you can.
Well, I can easily. When I think about equitable education system, the first thing I think about is how we're defining success, right? For my children, them reading at grade level is not success. It is a means to an end, right? I expect them to do that, but I don't declare victory because they can read at grade level. I will declare victory when they have a happy life, and a happy life is dependent on good economic conditions for them. And what we call personal agency. Can you manage your life? Do you have control of your life? And do you have the income you need to be able to do well, not just to survive, but to do well? So redefining success in schools, or how schools support a broader definition of success, is really important here. So at the Gates Foundation, this P16 work, we quickly discovered P to economic mobility, pre-K to economic mobility. So the proficiency ladder is important, Having a high school diploma is important. Entering college and finishing college is important, but all by themselves are means to an end. The end means is, again, being successful in life. So how we connect these pieces together and create a kind of ladder and scaffold to get folks to success is how I think about this idea of success. But success for whom, right? Because there's those children in the middle class, upper income homes on a river to getting there. Making sure the poor kids in the poorest parts of our country are getting there is really critical. That for me is the equitable work that we need to do. All kids are on a path to economic success, right? All, not some.
Yes.
When it comes to Haiti, I helped launch Ayiti, and it's a development program for teachers in Haiti with an amazing woman named Jean-Claude P. And what we think about in the Haitian context is not just the education system or even economic mobility. We also think about this idea of civic identity, meaning that as you are successful, do you know what you owe your country? Do you know what you owe your community? How are you giving back to making that better, right? So in the work that we do with APA, with SAFYT, we think about developing leadership in teachers, in students, in communities, right? So yes, we're developing teachers, but there's a broader agenda of making sure that the community is being lifted, right? And that is done through multiple mechanisms. The teachers that we have will become the next magistrate or the next mayor. They go into work for the Ministry of Education, right? When you look at what propels a country forward, it is its people. It is its human capital. So, and which is what, by the way, is making me, give me the biggest heartburn about the current conditions in Haiti. By the way, schools continue to operate in many parts of the country, but when you see the gangs shutting down schools, we're losing a generation of young people who become the next leaders the country is desperate to have. So it is about a kind of return of, and we call that civic identity, which is a part of the effort for us in Haiti.
Yeah. So, and thank you. You talk about the human capital. This is very, very important. People are like the group of people are what's made the country. So with no people, you have no country. It's very important. But before we go to some other topic, I also wanted to challenge you on the perspective while you're working at the foundation. Was there anything that challenged your perspective on global education and how it influenced your subsequent work with Digital Promise Global?
Yes, several things, but I'll pick one in particular. There is a perception in America that we have all the answers here in this country, that we ought to develop the answers and give it to other people. What I learned at Gates and what I bring back to Digital Promise and learning about Digital Promise is that there are many innovations happening around the world, including innovations in developing countries, and how those can even help inform the work in the U.S. I think is an important part of how we think about the globalness of education. We are more alike than different around the world. There are many countries, both developed and developing countries, who struggle with the exact same thing. And folks, in some cases, have solved the problem. For example, you think about in the US, we have a massive issue with a digital gap, meaning kids don't have access to computers and technology at home or in school. You go to Uruguay in South America, they fixed that. They fixed it. The pandemic hit, they said, we're going to fix this. And they fixed it. Now they're moving to different levels of the challenge. The fact is, we're seeing it in parts of Africa. We're seeing it in parts of Asia. And those things can actually help inform the work in the US. So the global community, we need to work together. We need to work together to solve the challenges that we have in education around the world.
And you've done, you've left your mark on all the work you've done, either from the, again, New York Department of Education, the one, your work at the Bill and Melinda Gates, which was one of the reason you were honored in 2023 for as a great immigrants, great Americans by the Carnegie Corporation of New York. How did you feel about that honorary?
When I received the email, it was one of the happiest days, I guess, in recent memory. And
but wait, before you go though, sorry cutting you off, but I also would like for people who don't know that what that Howard is to kind of tell people, because I want the audience to actually know the magnitude of this.
Yeah, the Carnegie Corporation of New York is a major funding organization based in New York. They do a lot of work in education, in climate change. They do work across the social sector. Was created by Carnegie many years ago. It is a centerpiece for the work of Carnegie. So it's an amazing organization, and every year they recognize a handful of immigrants. In this year's class, for example, the guy who plays the Mandalorian was honored. Morissette, Alanis Morissette is part of the group. When you look at the list of people, they are prominent Americans who have done amazing work in the U.S., around the world, actors, musicians, and scientists, etc. And even frankly, I think one person came from the UN, an African from the UN. So it was an honor to be a part of that group. But to see yourself in that milieu, was heartwarming. You don't do the work for recognition. You do it because you want to make a difference, which is why I think, to your point earlier, it goes back to what I wanted to give back to my parents, who give so much to us, and to give back to a country that gave me so much growing up. But to be recognized by it, was certainly heartwarming, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations, well-deserved award. Now, tell me a bit about Digital Promise Global, and why did you start? Why did you start it?
Yeah, so I came here 3 years ago, but Digital Promise Global was created by an act of the U.S. Congress back in 2008 under George W. Bush. Was launched by President Obama in 2011. And we left the government in 2019. Now we're a global nonprofit doing work in education across the U.S., across the world. When I was at Gates, I had a great experience at the Gates Foundation. But the pandemic hit, and I realized I was traveling every Monday to Seattle and sometimes Washington, D.C., and I didn't want to keep doing that. So I was looking for my next platform, next place I could make a difference. And then I got wind of the fact that Digital Promise was opened, and I was there when my predecessor was appointed, and I know of the organization and the work that it does, and I also know I could take it to the next level. So I applied for the job, and thankfully I got the job as the CEO. And the work that we're doing now, I think, is going to take, but it was already a great organization, and make it even better. And make its reach even broader around the U.S. and around the world.
And this organization does a lot of work bridging that digital gap and more. In your role, how do you envision technology shaping the future of learning, especially for the undeserved community?
When you look at the power of, first of all, I've had personal experiences with the power of technology, and give you a nugget of that. When I taught physics in New York, one of the schools I taught was at Westinghouse High School. It was a vocational school, a lot of Black and brown kids. I think we may have had 4 white kids in the nearly 10 years I was there. Was school that was nicknamed Hip Hop High, but those kids in that school were not expected to do well on the New York State Physics Regents exam. I discovered the Vernier software suite thanks to CUNY, the City University of New York, and we begin to improve technology into the classroom. And by the way, we begin to do that. My passing rate went north of 90% of kids passing the physics regions. Some years it was 100% of the kids passing physics regions. So the technology can really enhance the experience can make what may be difficult to learn, may make it easier to understand. If you think about this idea of emerging technologies, right now, a lot of our work is on artificial intelligence. And we can bring that solution to what we call learner variability, which is that every kid is different. That is proven by research. And to ask a teacher to personalize education for 34 kids in the classroom is unrealistic. But with the help of technology, you can connect the home, you can connect teachers, you can really get personal with every child and design a program that is unique for each one of them. So I've seen the power of technology. It can make the life of a teacher easier. It can, again, but more importantly, it can bring the power of making what may be difficult to see available. I'll give you one last thing, which I'm excited about. You think about, if you remember the Magic School Bus, where a teacher would bring the kids in the Magic School Bus and take them to a place to see plate tectonics, right? Or see the place move that creates earthquake. To take them to the Marianas Trench and see the deepest trench in the ocean, right? In the classroom, in an earth science classroom, you can talk about it and show pictures. But imagine the power of technology to maybe three-dimensional devices. You can take a child to that place. Let's see what the Sahara Desert look like. Let's walk and experience it. And there's so many different dimensions here that we can propel education, especially to your point, the kids who don't have parents who can fly them to Egypt and see the pyramids. We can bring the pyramids to the classroom in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, and I'm sure those underserved communities really need that, because that's what's lacking to kind of broaden their experiences. How do you believe that program or initiative will transform education for them?
In multiple ways, I think programs in emerging technologies and others will transform education. Right now, we teach to the average kid. We treat all 30 kids in the classroom as if they're all the same, they're monolith. Technology will have changed that. We tend to think everything must happen within the four walls of a school. The fact is, learning can be ubiquitous, can be everywhere. Technology can help solve that. We also give kids this test at the end of a semester or at the end of a unit to see what they have learned. Assessment can be embedded in the educational activity. They can eliminate the 3-hour test, can eliminate the test, and allow us to know how a kid is learning all the time. And that learning can be credentialized, can be recognized, and be part of a three-dimensional transcript we often call the learning and employment record. I mean, there's so many different ways technology can propel us to the next thing. One more thing. You think about AI and the amount of data coming to a teacher or principal. AI can help make sense of all that information that's coming from the home, what is happening with this kid in healthcare. Because we know the things that happen outside the home, access to quality healthcare, access to good housing, all matter in how a kid learns. And technology can help us really understand and make sense of the information coming at us to know how we can intervene. They're dangerous too, don't get me wrong, in all this work, but certainly the opportunities far outweigh the dangers.
And this show called Window to Haiti. So I always need to find a way to connect the conversations we're having to how it's connected to Haiti and give our audience a window to Haiti. Now, especially given the current situation Haiti is right now, how do you view the role of education in providing hope and stability for the young people in Haiti?
David, one of the programs we launched about 2 years ago, thanks to Alex Contav at the Kellogg Foundation. Alex called me when I was appointed digital promise 3 years ago and said we should do something in Haiti. And of course, we talked, and what we leaned on was this idea of providing continuous education to young people in Haiti, despite everything else. At the time, the pandemic was the primary issue, right? But then we look at political unrest, we look at climate issues, earthquakes notwithstanding, right? The question, how do you bring continuous education to young people was a big part of our conversation. And at Digital Promise, we have experiences in doing that. So we bought the assets of what we have at Digital Promise, and we launched an effort in Haiti with a bunch of partners, summit schools, a bunch of different partners in Haiti, including us at Ayiti, where we bring devices like iPads, Chromebooks, developing curriculum that is online and in real life, providing electricity and broadband access to a set of schools in the north, right? To demonstrate to the ministry, to demonstrate to multilaterals like USAID and others, this is how you think about this idea of continuous education, and fix what we call interrupted education. So kids can have access to continuous learning across the board. When we heard that some outfits in Haiti were doing interactive radio, I said, interactive what? Interactive radio. I said, really? In 2022, 21, we're talking about radio as a means of teaching? Meanwhile, everybody has a cell phone in Haiti. Can we leverage greater technologies to do this? So we've been demonstrating. And for me, that is a way of taking what I've learned in education, what we know we can do really well at Digital Promise, and bring that to fruition in Haiti. And by the way, in that work in Haiti, as a platform can inform the ministry, but also can inform the work of Francophone countries around the world who may be experiencing the very same kind of challenges.
And it's important. We're talking about using technology. How do you think the gang issue or the gang violence is affecting education opportunity in Haiti?
It's a massive challenge. Whenever you stop young people from attending school, again, you're destroying a generation of kids, right? It's a massive issue. But right now, the work is for us is how can we mitigate? I mean, I can't stop gang violence in Haiti. We can't. But how do you mitigate that? How do you provide kids with opportunities to continue to learn even when schools are closed? I think is a part of that. There was initially another goal here, which I have not let go of, that perhaps is down the road. When you look at Haiti, especially if you live outside of Port-au-Prince or Cap-Haïtien or Cap-Haïtien, you don't have access to secondary school. Most of the kids who live in the remote communities do not have access to high school or secondary school. This is a means as well to bring education that is secondary schools in nature to those kids. Ultimately, that is a goal of the program. And of course, we know we can't do it all across the country, which is why I say we're going to demonstrate to the ministry how to think about this work in Haiti.
Okay. And also, as someone who has the expertise in education and of Haitian descent, what is your vision for the future of education in Haiti, and how can the diaspora contribute to that?
First of all, the diaspora send a lot of money to Haiti. So that needs to be channeled appropriately as well, too. But more importantly, we have a number of folks who are part of the diaspora who sit in powerful positions and chairs in the US and around the world. We need them engaged in this effort. They cannot sit by and just watch. And through orgs like us, Ayiti and others who are making a difference, they ought to come see. We're already getting support from powerful, like one former Secretary of Education in the US, who was part of the Obama administration. He's been a massive support for us with the work in Haiti. He's not Haitian. He's an American. He's a white American guy. My push is, where are the prominent Haitians in the US to say enough? Let's find the organizations who are doing work and support them in actually doing that. But the vision is simple for me in Haiti, right? It is about creating the best education system possible. It is about making sure that the folks in charge of education in Haiti understand the way you rebuild a country, the way you build a nation, is through its people. You have to educate the young people, give them access to powerful education. Then you're going to have the leaders you need to have to make Haiti the first-class country it needs to be.
And you said you've partnered, or your organization have partnered with a lot of organizations in Haiti. have you been back to Haiti anytime soon?
I was going every year. It stopped me from going. When I chaired the board of Ayiti, we had our board retreat in Haiti every single year. When the pandemic hit, I didn't go and I haven't been back since. Excuse me. I'm anxious for the day I can go back and take my family to visit. But the pandemic was the first stop, but now the political unrest is part of my challenge.
I know it's just like we want to go, we need to go, we just can't go. And now tell me though, like, what was that experience the very first time going back to Haiti after you've left at the year at 12 years old?
It was a number of years. My parents were still alive, and I went to with my dad and my mom to see Haiti through the eyes of an adult. And I remember standing in the open market near Cop, and I literally cried because I had not seen Haiti. I last saw it as a child, and had to see it as an adult. Then you begin to understand the system's challenges the country was actually facing. And you begin to ask the question, what can I do? And by the way, it was my mom's push on me too, because you can't solve all of it. What part are you going to take to make it work? And that those kinds of statements don't leave you. You remember them. It's okay. I'm not going to sit by. So initially, what I was doing was each time my parents would go back, I would fill a suitcase. My siblings and I would fill a suitcase, with whiteout and pens and paper and stuff like that. Then we begin to pay for the salaries of 2 teachers in Haiti. As you can imagine, it's not a lot of money. So you start incrementally, and you begin to look at, okay, what can I do from the perch I sit on as an organization?
Now, also, I need to edit the next few minutes. That's okay. Yeah. That would be one question I was gonna ask you about, and thank you for your time. Earlier, you talked about your grandfather, and I wanted to get a chance to go back to that by asking, reflecting on your upbringing, either in Haiti or in the Haitian household in the U.S., can you share a story or a moment where the wisdom of a Haitian proverb shared either by your parents or your grandparent deeply resonated with you or influenced your path in education?
Absolutely. So my grandfather was a conductor, right? So I would sit on the front every Friday. I was the one selected to sit on his front porch, and he would teach me music. He never wanted me to learn an instrument, but to learn music. And to a practice called solfège, which is just singing the notes to the music. Did that every Friday with him. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was a powerful and learned man. Again, was in prison because he dared speak against Papa Doc. But the one proverb, and that I remember, and I'm going to paraphrase because I forgot the exact words, but little by little, the bird builds its nest, right? Yes.
Little by little, the bird builds its nest.
Yes, I remember that because, when you think about the work we do, if you try to do it, if you want to do a one-step thing to solve the problem, we often fail. But to understand that there are building blocks to getting to the solutions you're getting to, if I can extrapolate a bit, there are levers we can pull, that can move things. Sometimes they're small levers, sometimes they're big levers, but find the place you can start. Then that provides the solution, the big solutions that you're looking for.
Yeah. All right. Once again, I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Jean-Claude Brizard, for everything you've done, education in the U.S., and also what you're currently doing in Haiti. As a last message, what would you like to share with the global Haitian community and those looking to support Haiti during these challenging times?
There's an old expression from an organization here based in the US says, be crew, CREW, be crew, not passengers in the effort. So many of us are sitting back and just watching and feeling bad. When people email me and say, are you okay? Is your family okay? I talk about the long arc of this, including the time when Haiti was made to pay reparations to France because the slaves dared take the land from the slave masters. Haiti paid reparations for 148 years. The conditions in Haiti were not accidental. They were made by the West. The challenges there were not accidental. They were made by the West. The solutions, yes, have to come from within, from the people in Haiti, but they need support, especially if you are in the diaspora. Please get involved. I'm not asking anyone to go to Haiti. I'm asking you to find the organizations you can support who are doing amazing work to support the Haiti, who understand systems, design, and change. I'm biased to education, so find the education organization, but by any means you want to help, please help. Do not sit idle by and watch this happen.
As I conclude today's conversation with Jean-Claude Brizard, I'm reminded of a quote from Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. This encapsulates the essence of our conversation, the power of education and the boundless opportunities it unlocks. Jean-Claude's journey from the streets of Grand Rivière du Nord to the forefront of global educational reform is a testament to the potential that lies within each member of the Haitian diaspora. Education stands as a beacon of hope, illuminating paths to personal growth, societal progress, and the strengthening of communities worldwide. For Haiti, amidst its trial, educations offer a promise for a brighter future, a tool for empowerment, and a foundation upon which the dreams of our people can be built. The Haitian diaspora, with its wealth of knowledge, skills, and passion, holds a crucial role in the story of Haiti's resurgence. By learning, reconnecting, sharing wisdom, and investing back into our homeland, we can create a robust network that uplifts every Haitian, whether at home or abroad. In these challenging times for Haiti, let us draw strength from our shared heritage and the enduring spirit of resilience that it defines us. Let's commit to being the architects of change, united in our quest for education, opportunity, justice, and reconciliation for all Haitians. Together, we can forge a future where the light of hope outshines the shadow of despair, where every child in Haiti has access to the education they deserve, and where our collective effort leads to lasting prosperity for our beloved homeland. The path may be fraught with obstacles, but our history has shown that we are a people undaunted by adversity. As we look to the future, let's hold fast to the belief that for Haiti, the best is yet to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Haiti, and may our conversation continue to inspire action, foster hope, solidify the unity between Haitians in Haiti and abroad, and bring about the transformation we wish to see in the world. We are all we have, and that's enough.